Hey, my name is Noah Ellis. I'm a senior getting my degree, my bachelor's degree in Christian counseling. For the interview reflections video, I chose to interview my pastor. Um, his name is John Sinkhorn. He's the pastor at Maranatha Church in Greenville, North Carolina, um, which is the church I've been going to for about 4 years now. Um, he has been not only my pastor, but um, he has been my counselor on several different occasions for um, different issues. He was my marriage counselor for an engagement that I was part of, but didn't come to fruition. And he was also the marriage counselor for um, an engagement that did become a marriage that I'm just celebrating my 1 year anniversary of. And he also did the ceremony there for that wedding in Asheville, North Carolina. He has a master's degree in counseling from Liberty University. So I thought he would be someone good to interview for this assignment. Um, so when I asked him to describe the duties of his role, he said that his duties include shepherding the congregation at his church, our church. Shepherding includes but is not limited to offering support to individuals and families through biblical teaching, emotional care, and life guidance. He stated that he spends much of his time counseling uh, in premarital counseling, marital counseling, and biblical counseling in other general areas of life, which has been my experience with him personally. Like I said, has been my marriage counselor and premarital counselor, as well as some other general issues in my life. I have gone to him for counseling. As a pastor, he is also available for crisis response and to support church members and members of the community. He also provides services like funerals, hospital visits, weddings, and just in general walking with people through things like loss, depression, divorce, and even spiritual doubts. He stated that his goal is to offer hope that is found in the gospel through Christ. Obviously, as a pastor, um, his form of counseling is biblically based. He does have that degree, so he incorporates scientific strategies as well, but most of his counseling revolves around biblical counseling. When I asked him to describe what he finds most fulfilling about working in the industry of counseling, his answer was that he is most fulfilled when he watches people find peace. He is fulfilled by watching them have their light bulb moments and finding peace and victory over whatever their situation is. Finding resolution in relationships is also one of his favorite things about counseling because most of his counseling does revolve around relationships. As he said, he spends most of his time in counseling as it relates to marriage. He describes a specific story where he helped a 78-year-old homeless illegal immigrant get all his paperwork renewed and was able to help him get back to England, where he was originally from, to be reunited with his estranged son without him knowing about it. So it was sort of like this surprise thing that when he got back to England, he had spoken to both of them individually and done some counseling with the father, and they were able to mend their relationship when he returned. That was just one of the stories that he shared. To this day, he says that the homeless guy still, the formerly homeless guy, still tells him that that was the greatest gift he's ever received. And he said that seeing people resolve conflicts in their marriages, friendships, and even family is well worth the toll that this profession can take. When asked to describe what he finds challenging about working in the industry of counseling, he stated that what he found personally most challenging was seeing people hurt and grieve. The worst part, he said, is knowing what they need but then refusing to follow the counsel that would give them peace. Obviously, he deals with a lot of loss, whether that be death, divorce, addiction, just sin in general. All of these things are usually accompanied by a great deal of grief. So for him, that was his biggest, hardest thing to deal with, is watching people go through things like that, and just the moment of, sometimes with addiction and things like that, knowing what they need or what might be a good idea for them to do, but then them not taking the advice given, and just being hurt again. Many times, he said the stories that he hears and deals with are, in his own words, unbearable. Also remembering that other people deal with things that he doesn't personally deal with. He stated that he must constantly remind himself not to be judgmental in dealing with these things. The issues of child sexual abuse, emotional, physical abuse, and other terrible things are among the most challenging for him to hear and deal with, is what he said. Just for each person individually, I think we all can identify with that. Is it might be easier for us to understand and sympathize with things that we ourselves have dealt with and have been struggles for us in the past, or we are currently struggling with, whereas it's a little more difficult to humanize and sympathize with things that we may not be personally experiencing. He's heard stories of things like bestiality involving a deacon at a church, to children being molested by those closest to them. He stated that there is so much hurt in this world, and it can weigh heavily on your mind and emotions. So sort of all of that was what he said was the most challenging part of this. When asked what he does to continue professional growth in the field, he stated that he does a lot of reading and watching videos just to learn and stay updated on, what might be the best methods for him as he continues counseling. He attributes a lot of his growth actually to his experiences in counseling. This includes times where he feels like he failed or maybe didn't say the best thing possible, and how he's learned from those experiences personally. He said that he also has some great and wise friends that he leans on for help. It is important, he said, to have people in your circle to help you when things get difficult. Having these people in your life will help you grow. And he's speaking of people who are in the counseling profession and other pastors who are maybe older and more experienced than him, that when he has those moments where he feels like he didn't know what to do, or he didn't say the right thing, or that he can go to personally and ask maybe how they would have handled it, or how they've handled similar situations in the past, and he feels like that has helped him grow. When I asked him for recommendations for a student pursuing work in this field, he said that he really believes that students need to work on their emotional awareness of their own lives as well. The biggest piece of advice he gave is learning how to be quiet and listen, learning to be able to be quiet even in the awkward moment of tears. He mentioned a quote from Rick Warren that says, the greater the tragedy, the greater your silence. People sometimes in tragedy don't need your voice, they need your presence. He would recommend to any student to maintain empathy in this work. It is easy to get callous and even grow cold toward the emotions of others. At the same time, working on self-care is imperative. The burdens of others can weigh you down if not handled properly. Make sure you have good, healthy outlets in working out your own stress and burdens you carry. So obviously he placed great importance on the sort of the listening aspect of counseling, especially in grief counseling. A lot of people are uncomfortable in those situations, sometimes myself included, because you don't know what to say. And basically his point was, there might not be a right thing to say, and it's better to just be there. He placed great importance on self-care. He's someone who has dealt with burnout, and sort of after hearing all these stories, like he said, it's easy to get used to hearing things like that, but just to remind yourself on a case-by-case basis that each person is dealing with something, and to treat them with empathy and sympathy, God. And what I learned during this assignment is that pastors are very versatile counselors. I feel like most of the time in this profession, you sort of specialize in one field or the other. Maybe you're a grief counselor